All right. Okay. This is some of the good stuff. We've got more in store, but right now we're going to have two presentations. I want to introduce the first by what I call him our local historian, especially in the African American community. We just celebrated 85 years of history here as an organization in the York community. And a lot of that history, now I've only been here 31 years, so it was a few years before I came that this organization started in 1932. But this gentleman has captured a lot of the history about CA in this community. He's known to all of us, Mr. Jeffery Kirkland. So he's going to come and do a short presentation. I would also challenge you before you leave here this afternoon to make sure you get over and look at the easels, to my right, which depict the history of Crispus Attucks from 1931 actually up to the present time. So Jeff, you're going to come and do your presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Jefferson. Those who know me know how much I love history, and the more you go back in history, the more caught up you are with it and all. Like the history is sort of like if you equate it to a doctor, it's like looking back on a patient and doing a diagnosis. And what that enables you to do is write a better prescription for improvement as moving forward. Now, Mr. Simpson has asked me to give a brief overview, and those of you who've ever attended one of my history presentations know that I could talk for hours, about this subject, but I'm going to have to acquiesce to those rules here today. He asked me to give a brief overview of the history of this great organization. Obviously, the works of Crispus Attucks Association over these past 85 years is way too much to cover, even in an entire afternoon. So I will try to say a few words about the character of Crispus Attucks and what it has meant to the York community in general and York's African American community specifically. As we look back over the rich and noble history of the Crispus Attucks Association, we become aware of certain common themes which are intertwined throughout the very fabric of this remarkable organization. Character building, education, community service, partnerships, and benefactors all serve as elements of the lifeblood of this organization, which has sustained and supported it for these 85 fruitful years. Crispus Attucks, the namesake of this organization, paid the ultimate sacrifice and service to the people of the fledgling United States of America. I don't believe he knew his death would become synonymous with and symbolic to the idea of service. Obviously, the founders of Crispus Attucks, in choosing his name, understood the sacrifices it would take to forge and sustain the type of community building institution that they had envisioned. One of this organization's original founders, the esteemed Dr. George Bowles, christened Crispus Attucks as a character building organization. He and the other founding members believed it was up to the Negroes of that time to work at finding solutions to the problems they faced as a community, adopting a sort of pull yourself up by your own bootstraps attitude, even before that saying became popular. Between the end of the Civil War in 1900, African Americans became the fastest ethnic group ever to educate themselves, reducing illiteracy over 50% during that time. The founders of Crispus Attucks, many of them educated men themselves, understood and appreciated the importance of education to the uplift of the Negro community, and they made education one of the prime cornerstones of this operating philosophy. We all know of the legendary service and sacrifice of Crispus Attucks staff members such as Miss Helen Thaxton, Miss Dolores Borum, and Miss Jackie Martino Miller, and the impact they have made upon the youth of this community in the area of education. Ms. Thaxton's motto of manners and behavior is one that would resonate throughout the education systems of today. Many people don't know today when our parents used to tell us, mind your manners. They don't understand what manners are, that respect and all that comes with your proper upbringing. In fact, the story of Crispus Attucks is replete with the stories of many creative, committed staff members who have reached deep inside themselves to provide the type of leadership and guidance which continues to be inspirational to all who believe in the "it takes a village" concept of community uplift. Crispus Attucks has been a safe and a nurturing space, a home away from home for decades of York's children trying to grow and develop in a sometimes difficult and hostile world. I know firsthand how Crispus Attucks, and particularly Mr. Simpson, has been very loyal and supportive of the long-standing families of York, even when that support was not always reciprocated. In 1943, 1 year before Crispus Attucks moved to its Maple Street building, a move that was necessary because of the College Avenue, the first building, being burned down in a fire 2 years before that. At that time, there were approximately 1,440 black persons of working age in this community. During the first membership drive that year, 980 out of those 1,440 persons purchased a membership in this organization in support of the organization. Incredibly, that brought in a total of $1,693.06, which averaged out to about $1.70 per membership. Now, although that seems to be a meager amount, community support at that time for the organization was overwhelming. But over the years, that was not always the case. Benefactors over the years, beginning with the man named Mr. Samuel Small, one of the early philanthropists in our community. He was working with the York Hospital. People like him helped to fill that void. Mr. Small, on a side note, he was instrumental in helping the black members of the First Presbyterian Church down on the corner of Market and Queen organize their own church, the black members, which they called the Faith Presbyterian Church in 1895. The Faith Presbyterian Church subsequently formed a community action group called the Community House in 1917. Why is that important? Because Community House was the forerunner and the model for the Crispus Attucks Association. In fact, several of their leaders, including Dr. George Bowles and the Reverend Thomas Montague, became the founders, some of the first founders of the Crispus Attucks Association. Mr. Small, the Lavertons, Mr. Elliott Brees, Mr. Robert Pulo are just a few of those benefactors over the year who have not thought it robbery to step in at critical junctures with commitments of time and resources to help Crispus Attucks adapt to changing dynamics, recreating itself and its ability to be relevant and responsive to the needs of this community, helping it to traverse difficult times and continue on its historic mission with renewed vigor and focus. I know it is dangerous, Mike told me this at one time, to begin thanking specific people in a talk such as this, because the likelihood of omitting someone's name is high. But I would be remiss, and I think all of you would understand if I mentioned just a couple of the volunteers who, along with these other benefactors, have helped Crispus Attucks to survive and grow. Two of those who are dealing with challenges in their later lives at this moment are Mr. Raymond Crenshaw and Mr. Vonnie Grimes, long-time loyal supporters of Crispus Attucks and his mission in this city. And join me in applauding and giving those guys a hand. They have definitely been illustrative of the type of support, the volunteer support that have helped to build this organization over these past 85 years. After years of being overly dependent on limited sources of funding and sustenance, the leadership of Crispus Attucks has forged a diversified plan for growth and survival that has included community development, education and training, and housing and neighborhood stabilization. As witnessed here today, with the recognition of and outreach to local police departments, which are organizations which have historically been at odds with the African American community, CA has shown itself to be uniquely positioned to help our community become one that is not only symbolically appreciative of the power of its diversity, but a community that actually utilizes that diversity to thrive and create a true melting pot social fabric here that is encouraging and supporting of all people. Crispus Attucks could be the leader in that effort. In fact, just a picture of you all attending here today and the support you have given Crispus Attucks over the years is demonstrative of the power which can be derived from such mutually uplifting relationships. And before I take my seat, I'd just like to tell a brief story about two rivers in northern Brazil that are the Rio Sinola and the Rio Negro. To me, they somewhat symbolize the social situation we find here in York. These two rivers make up the headwaters of the mighty Amazon River, one of the greatest rivers in the world. The Rio Sinola is a brown, muddy river of good size. The Rio Negro is a jet black river, similar in size to the Rio Sinola. The Sinola's color scheme comes from the sediment which flows from its bank. The Rio Negro, on the other hand, is a crystal clear river, so clear in fact that you can see the dark black earth which makes up its bed, the riverbed. The unusual thing is that where they meet before becoming the mighty Amazon, these rivers travel side by side for almost 3.5 miles without mixing. It's a fabulous photo. If you guys ever Googled online, the meeting of the rivers it's called. 3.5 miles side by side, two different rivers. But when they finally converge downstream, they become the mighty Amazon River, a legend among the rivers of the world. Here in New York, we had the makings of what at times seems like a tale of two rivers, one white and one black. Our histories and cultures have paralleled each other for years, coming together but rarely mixing. I could only surmise the potential this city, in which I have lived for 69 years, could muster if we are able to come together as one in a great crescendo of forward-looking unity. While our community has not yet reached a level of inclusion to where it is responsive to all the needs of its diverse population, Crispus Attucks has found a way to become a model on how to bridge the sometimes divisive voids of race and class on the way to forging what has become a great American story. Thank you very much.
Excellent, excellent job, Jeffrey. Jeff, excellent job. Jeff talked about the history, and I'm a history buff, and so I believe that you need to know your history. It's something we've not done for our kids, and especially passing down our history. He talked about the history of CA. He talked a little bit about the history of York. But one of the keys to what we're trying to do this afternoon is to show you the change and the positiveness that has taken place in this community, and naturally CA has been one of the organizations that's at the forefront of that. But there's a gap. There's a gap between how things were, how things are, and how things need to be.